Do you know what it feels like to have your life completely torn apart by a single moment? Have you ever wondered how a simple jog through a park could lead to one of the most infamous wrongful convictions in American history? In 1989, 5 teenagers from Harlem, Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Yusef Salaam, Raymond Santana, and Korey Wise, were accused of a brutal crime they didn't commit. Their lives were upended, their futures stolen, and their names forever etched in the dark chapters of New York's justice system. But how could something like this happen? What went so wrong in the case of the Central Park Five that it would take decades to set right? In today's video, we will discover not just the terrifying details of the crime, but the shocking failures that condemned innocent boys to years behind bars. So stay tuned and watch this video till end. On April 19th, 1989, a brutal assault and rape shook New York City. Tricia Mailey, a 28-year-old investment banker, was jogging in Central Park when she was viciously attacked, leaving her in a coma for 12 days. The attack occurred during a time when crime in New York was surging, fueled by the crack epidemic. That night, a group of teenagers entered the park, engaging in robberies and assaults. 6 teenagers were arrested in connection with the crime: Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, Yusef Salaam, Raymond Santana, Korey Wise, and Stephen Lopez. Although Lopez's charges were dropped after he pled guilty to a separate assault, the other 5 teenagers were convicted, and their sentences ranged from 7 to 13 years. The case, widely publicized as the Central Park Jogger case, stirred public fear and outrage, feeding into a broader narrative about urban crime, youth delinquency, and violence against women. It also exposed racial tensions, as all the accused were young men of color. The convictions were based on confessions obtained after lengthy police interrogations, which the defendants later claimed were coerced. Despite DNA evidence not matching any of the 5, they were found guilty. However, in 2002, a dramatic turn occurred when Matias Reyes, a convicted serial rapist, confessed to the crime, and DNA evidence confirmed his involvement. Reyes claimed he acted alone, leading to the exoneration of the Central Park Five. The wrongful convictions raised questions about police tactics, racial bias, and the media's portrayal of the case. Public figures, including Donald Trump, stoked the fire by calling for harsher penalties. Trump famously took out full-page ads in 4 major newspapers demanding the return of the death penalty, further intensifying the media frenzy. Although the ads didn't specifically name the defendants, they contributed to the public perception of guilt. Years later, the case became emblematic of the systemic issues plaguing the criminal justice system, including racial profiling and wrongful convictions. In 2014, the city of New York settled with the 5 men for $41 million, acknowledging the damage done to their lives. On May 10, 1989, Lopez, McCray, Richardson, Salaam, Santana, and Wise were indicted on charges of attempted murder, rape, and other crimes, including the assault on a female jogger and the attack on David Lewis, John Laughlin, and participating in a riot. Each pleaded not guilty. Families of Lopez, Richardson, and Salaam posted the $25,000 bail. However, McCray and Santana, both under 16, were sent to a juvenile facility, while Korey Wise, classified as an adult at 16, was held in Rikers Island. During pretrial hearings, defense attorneys argued that the confessions were coerced and the defendants had not been properly Mirandized. In Salaam's case, he argued that his statement was made outside the presence of his parents, which New York law mandates for children under 15. Judge Thomas B. Galligan rejected the defense's motion for a new judge and ruled that the confessions were admissible. The trial of McCray, Salaam, and Santana began on June 25, 1990. Despite the defense arguing against cross-examining the female jogger, protesters verbally attacked both the victim and the defense lawyers. After 10 days of deliberation, the jury acquitted the 3 of attempted murder, but convicted them of assault and rape, as well as assault and robbery of Laughlin, another jogger. At sentencing, each received the maximum allowed for juveniles, 5 to 10 years in a youth facility. The second trial, involving Kevin Richardson and Korey Wise, started on October 22, 1990. Wise became emotional during the prosecutor's opening statement, and Richardson's defense counsel argued for a mistrial, but the motion was denied. The defense also claimed that the confessions were coerced and that the youth's limited intellectual abilities made them vulnerable. Richardson was convicted of attempted murder, sodomy, an assault of the female jogger, and robbery of Laughlin. Wise was acquitted of rape and attempted murder, but was convicted of sexual abuse and assault. Due to Wise's age, he was sentenced as an adult and received a 5 to 15-year sentence. After the verdict, Wise declared that the prosecutor would pay for the false conviction, insisting on his innocence. Critics, including Joan Didion, suggested that the public's perception of the case, especially inflamed by Donald Trump's infamous ads calling for the death penalty, influenced the jury's decision. Years later, legal experts criticized the verdicts, pointing out that DNA evidence recovered from the crime scene did not match any of the defendants. Though Richardson's conviction was partly based on physical evidence, the FBI noted that none of the defendants could be identified as the source of the semen found on the jogger. Years later, in 2001, Matias Reyes, serving time for other crimes, confessed to the rape of the female jogger. His DNA matched the semen found on the victim, and Reyes provided additional details about the crime that were corroborated by the investigation. Based on his confession, which was confirmed by DNA testing, it was determined that Reyes acted alone. In 2002, the convictions of McCray, Salaam, Richardson, Santana, and Wise were vacated. Although Reyes could not be charged due to the statute of limitations, his confession exonerated the 5 men, and the case became one of the most infamous wrongful convictions in U.S. legal history. The convictions of the Central Park Five, Yusef Salaam, Raymond Santana, Antron McCray, Kevin Richardson, and Korey Wise were vacated in 2002, following a confession by Matias Reyes, a convicted rapist and murderer, who admitted to the assault of Tricia Maylee and claimed he acted alone. This new evidence prompted New York County District Attorney Robert Morgenthau to reinvestigate the case. Assistant District Attorney Nancy Ryan, after examining discrepancies in the confessions of the 5, concluded that their convictions, including those for other crimes, should be vacated. She emphasized that the confessions were inconsistent, unreliable, and lacked corroborative evidence. On December 19, 2002, New York Supreme Court Justice Charles J. Tejada vacated all the convictions, clearing the 5 of all charges. At the time of the vacatur, the men had already completed their sentences, but the ruling removed their names from the New York State Sex Offender Registry, a significant relief as they had been facing lifelong restrictions and reporting requirements. In July 2022, Stephen Lopez, who had also been implicated in the case, saw his robbery conviction overturned. He had originally pleaded guilty to lesser charges, and District Attorney Alvin Bragg cited false statements and unreliable forensic analysis in his motion to vacate Lopez's conviction. Despite the exonerations, key figures involved in the original investigation, including former prosecutor Linda Fairstein, contested aspects of the decision, maintaining that the 5 had participated in other elements of the crime. An independent review commissioned by NYPD Commissioner Raymond Kelly, known as the Armstrong Report, 2003, supported this view, suggesting that both Reyes and the 5 were involved in the attack on Maylee, though Reyes alone was responsible for the rape. In the years following their exoneration, the 5, often referred to as the exonerated 5, sued New York City for wrongful conviction and civil rights violations. In 2014, the city settled for $40 million. The men also filed a separate lawsuit against the state, which was settled in 2016 for an additional $3.9 million. The case has remained a symbol of systemic failures in the justice system, highlighting issues of coerced confessions and racial injustice. Although some individuals, including Donald Trump, continue to express doubt about their innocence, the public perception shifted strongly in favor of the 5 after their exoneration. In recent years, Salaam, Santana, McCray, Richardson, and Wise have become advocates for criminal justice reform, seeking to prevent future wrongful convictions. That's all for this video. We hope you found this video informative and interesting. What do you think? Could something like this happen again in today's world? Let us know in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon for more interesting videos like this. Thank you for watching our video.